actually my second attempt at doing this video. I've already done this video and I started editing it, and I hated it because I was just rushed. I was going really fast and I was trying to get so many things done that I ended up doing them all poorly, and my wrap-up slash Witch-A-Thon wrap-up was one of them. So with that quick exposition, let me start my much more calm and midterms finished wrap-up. So I've gone ahead and combined my October wrap-up with my Witch-A-Thon wrap-up because they both happened in October. I'm going to go through my October books first and then go through what I finished during the Witch-A-Thon. First off, in October, I actually have September books. Okay, so I read books in September and then didn't talk about them at all whatsoever, and I just don't want them to fall between the cracks. These are my between the crack books that I just will never be talked about if I don't talk about them. The first one is Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir. I finished Torch Against the Night in September. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The first book, Ember and the Ashes, really got me. Like, I was hooked and I was really enjoying it. This one was also really good. I loved the dynamics and adding Helene to the story and getting her perspective on things. There's a lot going on in these books. There was just a couple more slow moments for me. I don't know. It just didn't grab me the same way as the first one, but I still really enjoyed it, and I am so ready to start Reaper at the Gates. I'm hoping that I love it as much as I loved the first one. I liked this one a lot though. During September, I also finished Smoke in the Sun by Renee Adia. I didn't like this book as much. I was actually really disappointed with this book. After reading Flame in the Mist, I immediately started Smoke in the Sun. Flame in the Mist blew me away. I loved it. The Mulan thing was really nuanced. It was actually barely in there. It was very much its own story. It kind of had a Robin Hood feel, like Robin Hood meets Mulan. It was perfect. This one I felt kind of broke into parts for me. I just felt the entire first half was kind of really boring, and then it only picked up at the end, and I felt the ending was not only a bit rushed but a little anticlimactic. I didn't like the villain's ending in this, the antagonist. I thought that more should have happened there. I ended up giving Smoke in the Sun 3 out of 5 stars. And the last book I finished in September was Pax by Sarah Pennypacker. I ended up really enjoying this book. I just have a really hard time with animal deaths and like cruelty to animals, and so that did definitely affect me. It was very well written though. I think that it's a very heavy middle grade book. For me, I like middle grades that are like this, not for myself and reading them as an adult, but because I believe that it dives in a little deeper and gives kids in this age range more of a benefit of the doubt. I think a lot of the time middle grade books are made more for elementary school, and then middle graders end up reading more young adult, and they miss out on this in-between stage. It's less about like the smut, and they miss some of the lessons that kind of get mixed in with smut. So this was a smut-free book between a boy and his fox, their separation and coming back together. The ending for me was a little disappointing. It's just not how I expected it to end or wanted it to end. I ended up giving Pax 4 out of 5 stars. It was a good read. Not my best, not my favorite, but it was really good and had really great lessons in it. There is a trigger warning for animal deaths and harm to animals, as well as war. So if war is something that's triggering to you, or if you don't want that to be an open subject for your kids right now, then don't read this book because it has both of those things. There's a cat on my lap, but you can't ever see her because of how my camera is, but just so you know, if I'm randomly petting my lap, that's because there's a cat in it. So actually leading into October, I read during the Strange the Dreamer readathon, Strange the Dreamer, and it was fantastic. It's my favorite series of this year. I read Raven Boys last year, so I'm being fair here. I got the Illuminate crate covers because I couldn't handle not having these books. I couldn't have my same copies that I had before. I needed something to just commemorate how these books made me feel. They were amazing. So I read Strange the Dreamer and then started Muse of Nightmares immediately after. Both of these books I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I understand for some people, they're gonna find them boring. I'm just gonna tell you right off the bat. You're gonna find it boring, or the writing writing too lovely or flowery. I didn't find it that way. I found, especially with this one, because I wasn't doing a read-a-thon, I just got to read at my own pace. I found that they were just really wonderful. I enjoyed the characters and the writing, and I just kind of got to sit in this world and enjoy it. So there's that. After that, I read Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. Holy guacamole, this book blew me away. Like, wow. It was a lot. It was heavy. It was good. It was heavy though. This follows a girl named Alex whose sister was previously murdered in this small town. It also follows two other characters, PK and, what is that boy's name? Jack. His name's Jack. PK and Jack, and it's their perspectives during the aftermath of this happening. It's quite a few years later actually, and I don't really know where to begin with these. I don't know where to begin. Yeah, I think that this is a 5 out of 5 star read. I really recommend you reading it. I don't actually know what to say about it. It took me a while. I ended up having to like talk about it after. I keep just repeating myself. I'm gonna set this down now. Then during October, I began my Witch-A-Thon. I actually read a book very close to the Female of the Species, which was Sadie. Sadie was absolutely magnificent. I can't help but compare these two because I read them right after each other. These are very different stories and they're told very differently, but there are a lot of the same lessons, thoughts, and points brought up, and it just really drives things home as far as like how females are treated and just really goes into humanity. Both of these books were really good, and I'm glad I read them so closely together because I was in the mood for this coming out of this book. Sadie follows the girl Sadie after her sister is murdered. It's very similar plots in that regard, except for this is almost immediately after her death. And Sadie goes to track the murder of her sister, and it's really impactful and really powerful. I found myself flipping through the pages as quickly as I possibly could. It's told partially as like a radio podcast, and there is another perspective. Another person is trying to find Sadie, so there's a lot of different mystery going on. Who killed Sadie's sister, where Sadie is, and what ends up happening in the end. Sorry, had to switch out the battery. Also during the Witch-A-Thon, I read Saga Volume 4 through 6. I would put them between 4 and 5 stars. They're kind of all blending together at this point, but I have not had a Saga book less than 4 stars. That's pretty good. I'm totally fine with that. I'm really enjoying where the story's going, and there's so much humor in these books. If you guys haven't picked up Saga, I recommend it, especially if you're trying to get into graphic novels. You'll be spoiled by these in a good way. You want to read these. Then I read Wise Child by Monica Furlong. This was a reread for me. It's not only in my Witch-A-Thon TBR, but in my Witchy Reads favorites. I talk quite about this book in both of those videos, so I will leave it at that. Oh, it's one of my oldest books, and it smells like it. Smell that. That's good, right? Okay. After that, that's about where my good reading habits end for the Witch-A-Thon. I didn't complete either of the other two, but I wasn't expecting to. Then I started Monstrous. I haven't finished Monstrous yet, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I look forward to finishing it. And I'm still reading Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. So far, so good. I also found out that there's like engravings on it of like the candy skulls. I'm really enjoying this book. I'm just not reading it as fast as I flew through Sadie, and that's totally fine. So that concludes my October Witch-A-Thon and a little bit of September wrap-up. I'm probably gonna film what I'm currently reading in this next video, so get ready for more purple sweater, and yeah, I hope you're enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are. Until next time, bye! Smoke in the Sun by Sabatahir. It's not Sabatahir. Why is this happening to me? Don't make that jump. You are too old to be jumping across that gap. This author is gorgeous. Zoraida Cordova is gorgeous. Good looking author.